No, I don't think it was defensive holding. I mean, it may have been an illegal contact, but playing the position is hard enough. That's the frustrating part about these slow-mos and all this other nonsense is that everything looks like a hold, but nothing ever looks like an offensive pass interference or a push-off or anything like that. When you go into one direction and the defender starts to go in that direction with you and then you change direction suddenly, there should be a little leeway there for everybody to get through the transition. If all you can do is run into each other every play, then, I mean, you'll get every call. And I just had a problem with the timing in which the play was called. He waited until the ball was interception, the ball was turned over to throw the flag. If he threw the flag directly after the contact, he would have thrown it 5 seconds ago. And he didn't throw it until he saw that it was going to be a turnover and it was going to affect the outcome. That part I don't agree with, and I was frustrated with because it doesn't seem like he threw that because of what happened during the play. It threw that because it was a turnover. And that's where people are going to start to argue and start to get mad and say, oh, it's fixed, or they're trying to help the Chiefs and all that, and it's going to ruin a great game. And the same can be true on the Patrick Mahomes scramble when it looked like a holding call should be called on them. Jermaine Johnson couldn't get away from Donovan Smith, I think it was.
Yep.
And they didn't call anything. So it's like, hey, you can swallow your whistle there, but you can't swallow your whistle here. It's really odd.
Yeah, in terms of the offensive lineman, when you engage inside the pads and you don't go outside the framework of the pads, they'll never call that as a holding call. You always want to stay within. He was not on the outside of the body. Now, in terms of the Sauce Gardner, he impeded the route, okay? MVS was looking to run a corner route. When you go and you set a dude up, you know this, Richard, and I try to come back inside and you grab me and turn me around and the ball is in flight, they're going to throw the flag. Had he thrown the ball to the other side of the field, probably wouldn't have never made that call. But the fact of the matter is, he grabbed him. He was a little handsy at the top of the route. You can't be that handsy. When you're a good corner, you know how to bounce. You know how to slide with a guy. You know how to shadow him, mirror him, especially when you know you have safety help over the top. But that's a young mistake by a young corner who's really good. But we know in games when we say to ourselves, he's very handsy. You're going to get a call. He's going to grab you. He's going to do these things. And it worked out for Kansas City. I mean, it was a holding call.
What about the lateness of that thrown flag? It came way after the interception.
Well, I
thought it was interference on the interception somehow.
Well, I think sometimes when the referees are looking to pull that flag out, they don't do it immediately unless it's just glaring in the middle of the field or at the offensive line, defensive line, where you can just see it when they go bam and let the play continue. I don't have a problem with the lateness of the flag. I really don't.
So, Richard, back to you. I'm watching it. I'm trying to pick it to pieces. I don't see Sauce actually grab a hold. I see hand fighting. I see hands on shoulder pads. You can argue, as Key did, that there's some redirection because Sauce is a big, strong corner, just the way you played, Richard. But I don't see a grab and tug. I can't. It looked like. Yeah, go ahead.
I agree with you. You would have saw the jersey separate from the pads. Sauce has his hands on him as anybody would. If I just change directions when you put your hands on me, it would look bad either way you face it. But I just don't like that he threw it late. I understand what Keyshawn's saying. Hey, he has time to grab his flag, and he's trying to figure out, no, throw the flag if there's a penalty. Don't determine if there's a penalty based on the result of the play. If there's a penalty, throw the flag. He didn't grab it. He could have grabbed him and restricted him. He didn't grab him and restrict him. That's hand fighting. So it's one of those things where you could have let him play on. You could have let the play continue and let the results be what they were, but instead you wanted to impact the game.
You want to add?
No,
all right.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, though, Kansas City gets out of there with a W. Okay, they rushed the ball for over 200 yards. So you look at that, you say the strength wasn't the passing game, but in that moment right there, that crucial moment, it was. And they got it then. Robert Saleh, as a head coach, has to stay calm. You cannot put your team in that situation.
He didn't get the 15-yarder until the game was decided. So he at least waited and didn't, blow up his team by getting an immediate 15-yarder. And I don't know if he's playing for the cameras just the way he did in Hard Knocks.
He probably was upset.
Maybe a little bit. He looked outraged.
He's probably upset.
And he should have been.
Because because he's playing for his job. He's playing for his job, and you're affecting this man's job. That's a big time stop by his team in a game that they could upset and turn their season around, and you're affecting this man's livelihood. That wasn't playing for the cameras. That was real life frustration. Like I can't imagine they called that call if I was the coach. That's why I can't coach. I might have went a little further than where he went. Like hey, we're gonna have a conversation afterwards. Like
go ahead, Richard. Go finish up.
I mean, that's just what I'm saying. I mean, that's ridiculous that they would call that in that situation. If he threw the flag as soon as it happened, I would have been like, well, I mean, he saw it, he threw it. Okay, I mean, I don't agree with it. But the fact you waited until it was an interception and then threw the flag, that's where I would have been off the wall.
You know, Skip, the interesting thing, and Richard mentioned this about Robert Saleh playing for his job or coaching for his job. Prior to last night, I didn't believe that for one bit because of the Aaron Rodgers injury. And if you would have told me, I would have said, you're not a chance. The quarterback that they traded for isn't there. Now, with a guy going 28 or 39,
not bad.
Okay, 2 touchdowns, 240-something in the
Zach
air.
Wilson, yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, he can play. Zach Wilson can play. He had a great game, 0 interceptions, da-da-da. Now you getting ready to put that pressure back on the Jets that they can do something now.
Yeah.
Because everyone thinks they should have won the game last night. Now you're starting to add pressure to Robert Saleh when, in my opinion, you need to slow it down. Zach had a nice game. Okay, he had a nice game against a very average overall defense. So I don't want to say that Robert Saleh is in trouble in the future because the guy that they traded everything to go get is now sitting in a box upstairs.
All right.
He shouldn't be fighting for his life. He shouldn't be fighting for his job, but that's the New York media market. It's unfortunate. Like I hate it because it's out of his control. He put together a really good defense, a top 5 defense. They've been playing like it. Zach Wilson finally plays a decent game, and I got to sit here and argue why he should have won the game when they should have won the game. They should have had an opportunity to win the game. But it's like missed call here. And then you got the Conklin drop touchdown that I can't, like, you got to have that one for the kid. You wide open in the end zone, laying out you a pro. You got to have that one. The kid has been struggling. You got to make that catch.
All right, the other quarterback did not have a nice game by his standards, and that would be Patrick Mahomes. You guys are much bigger fans of Mahomes than I am, but I'm going to give him this. He was under siege much of the game. They just couldn't block the Jets' front because a lot of teams are going to have a hard time blocking that front, and he is mortal, and under fire from that pass rush, he started to unravel just a bit. He tries things that drive me crazy because he plays for a coach who gives him the greenest light this side of Christmas. And all of a sudden, he'll throw it any way, shape, or form off his back foot, falling down. He'll try anything, and often he has gotten away with just about anything. But last night, he was not getting away with it.
There's other coaches, Richard, and other quarterbacks yesterday, they wish they could celebrate at the end of the game. There's a number of teams that lost yesterday. He didn't have the best statistical number in the passing game. They rushed for over 200 yards against a top-tier defense. It helped
because he had, like, whatever it was, 50 in the fourth quarter.
And then if we want to complain about the interception, the one where he threw it trying to get the ball, manipulate the football over the defender's head on the sideline in the pocket, and the guy went up to get it, when you are removed that far away, your illusion of where that defender is at and how high that defender can get up sometimes can mess with your quarterback's eyes. And so he tried his best to get it up over, and it didn't happen. I have no problem with it. I'll take this all day long, Skip. I'm going to take it all day long.
Well, you would because you're...
I don't think Andy Reid's going to take that all day long, but
you would take that W all day long.
Oh, you take the W for sure. I mean, there were uncharacteristic throws. C.J. Mosley should have had another one that he dropped on. Hit him right in the hands. It was an option to Travis Kelce that Travis Kelce decided to make a double option. He had the option route, took the inside option. Then C.J. Mosley was there. Then he thought he was going to take the outside option, and Mahomes had already thrown the ball, but. I don't know, man. I'm frustrated with this game. I'm frustrated with the result. I think they deserve better. If you're going to swallow your whistle, swallow your whistle. If you're going to call the calls, call the calls. But it's one of those situations where you can't play middle ground, and especially on that last drive. There's too much on the line. Refs are getting too involved in the game. I hate it. I hate when I got to talk about refs after the game. That means y'all did not do a good job. Let the game play. If it's an obvious call, you let the flag go. It's cool. But my goodness, stop talking about refs. Like when they're the stars of the game, I hate it because then you don't see them in the playoffs. People are like, why don't we get these calls in the playoffs? Because you don't have the bad refs in the playoffs. They lose points. They're on a point system. So they start with a certain amount. They make bad calls. The league takes points away. They make good calls. The league gives them more points. That's why in the playoffs, when I used to see a ref call a bad call on me, I walk up to him and be like, glad I won't see you in the playoffs because you are terrible. You are terrible. So in the playoffs, I'm going to see the elites of the elite.
You would tell a ref he's terrible.
Yeah, I would tell him straight to his face. I'd tell him straight to his face because I'm not going to see you in the playoffs. When the games matter and the games count, I'm not going to see you because you're not good at your job. And you're not probably going to see this referee because he's not good at his job. And that's why in the playoffs, people are like, they don't call anything because they call the things that need to be called and they let the game play. They let the game be decided by the players.
But when you great, I hate to say it and I hate to use the word great, when you great and you win, you get all the calls. That's it. You covered this game for a long time, Skip. And you can go back in your Rolodex of memory, and I'm sure you can pick up a whole bunch of them. When you look yesterday, I'm watching the Rams game, and this Puka, he's having a hell of a game. He pushes a dude. If that was Michael Irvin, they would have just looked the other way. But you're a rookie. You're not going to get certain calls. And you're a bad football team. You're not going to get certain calls.
You have to earn your respect.
Exactly.
You do.
Totally.
All right. Last quick question, because we got to ask this question. What about the Taylor Swift effect on the Kansas City Chiefs as we go forward? Is it going to become more of a distraction? It's the whole show. It felt like the whole broadcast was aimed at her last night up in the box.
Richard,
I mean, it's bringing. At the end of the day, it's bringing viewers to the. I'm sure Travis isn't complaining. His jersey is selling. They win in football games. At the end of the day, if that's what matters. I don't think she's having an effect on what Patrick Mahomes is doing and turning the ball over. Those are just uncharacteristically bad throws. So I'm sure they're happy. Miss Kelsey is happy. Everybody seems to be enjoying it.
It does nothing to the football team. Nothing at all. This is not a young player who is a rookie who came into being famous based on dating or hanging around Taylor Swift or whatever the case is. It has no bearing on what the outcome of the season is going to be for the Kansas City Chiefs.
At least not yet. Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.